Hi, friends. This episode of the Cozy Lung Lounge is brought to you by Hootenanny Joy, where your health and wellness take center stage. At Hootenanny Joy, we know how overwhelming it can be to stay on top of your health, especially when life gets busy or chronic illness adds challenges. That's why we've created self-study programs designed to meet you right where you are. These programs are simple, flexible, and packed with tools to help you thrive. And they come with something extra, access to a live health coach. That's me, to guide you every step of the way. Whether it's improving your sleep, learning to nourish your body, or managing stress, our programs combine proven science with practical, real-life strategies. You can work at your own pace, get the answers you need during coaching sessions, and feel confident you're making progress. Ready to take that first step? Visit hootenannyjoy.com to explore the programs and choose the one that fits your journey best. Hootenanny Joy, because your health deserves a little joy. Good evening, everybody. We're back in the Cozy Lung Lounge. Kelly's still out on vacation, but we are here and we've got a fun topic today. It's social life. We're going to go out and have some fun today.
Absolutely. It is so important to talk about social life. Living with a chronic lung disease doesn't mean that you have to stop everything you're doing and completely change your daily routines. While there are some things that you have to consider more, you can still have a very social life, and it's important to have a really big social life and to do the things that you want to do, but just kind of stay engaged without draining that energy. I think that's kind of our theme for today. And so we're going to kind of go through all the different kind of strategies and talk about some of the past people that we've heard from and how their lives changed or stayed the same with COPD or any chronic lung disease.
Boy, at this point, we've had 4 guests now on, I believe, and they've all had very different stories. So yeah, we've got a lot of activity there. Most of those I think all of our podcast guests that we've had have been very active in their community in other ways. Now, so yeah, you can live fully. You do have to be mindful that you're not going to be able to go back and do the things you were when you're 20. None of us can. But, well, except for Russell Winwood. But the rest of us probably can't. So we got to keep mindful of our limits and do maybe have some modifications in some of our fun things that we like to do.
Absolutely. So the first thing we kind of wanted to talk about is relationships and communication and how that may change or pretty much stay the same. So with our relationships, the first thing to do, if you've been recently diagnosed, you're having more shortness of breath, you don't feel like you can always go out and do the things that you want to do, it's important to talk about your limits. So talking with your family members, with your friends about what your limits are. So maybe you're not able to go on a walk around the park. Maybe you'd prefer to go on a shorter stroll and then relax and grab a bite to eat. Maybe taking the shorter loop on the walk instead of your longer loop. Whatever that may be. I know Bob Rollins loves to go golfing. And when he was first diagnosed, one of the things that he did was he didn't actually golf when he went out. He just went on the golf cart with his friends and kind of walked around here and there, maybe hit the golf ball once or twice, but he didn't really fully play, but he was still there and active. And I think it's really good to still do those things if you can and if you're comfortable with that, and be able to let your friends know, hey, I still want to be there and hang out with you guys. It just may look a little bit different.
You want to be realistic about the things that you're doing with your family. So they may try to push you into taking that loop around the hike that you've always done. But if you know it's going to make you feel really bad at the end, you're not going to make it, or you're going to be so drained of energy that you can't enjoy the rest of the day, it's really best to be upfront with them and tell them you really can't, and they need to understand that. So the limits and needs are so important in communicating with each other. Now, I can't guarantee you that they'll understand you, but doing your best to communicate is the way to go.
Absolutely. And it's really important to, talk with them about support and let people support you without smothering you. I know when we talked to Phyllis, one thing she said is she had some trouble asking for help at first. That was something that she wasn't very comfortable with. And it took her some time, but eventually she let people help support her and help, if she couldn't walk around as much at a conference as she would like, they pushed her in a wheelchair, and she accepted some of that help. And that's really helpful as long as it's not smothering. So there's a good set of boundaries that can be had with just kind of allowing people to assist you without kind of telling you what to do or kind of giving their unneeded opinion.
Yeah, you don't want anybody treating you like a baby when you're out trying to have some adult fun. So yeah, being open with your friends about some of the activities that are really good to do together, and those boundaries that you might have. Now, neither Amy or I have COPD or have some of these limitations. So we'd really like to hear from the listeners on what kinds of things have you struggled with. What kind of limits are your family pushing? Where do you need more support? Or can we help you with some of these things? So let us know, and we'll address some of those kinds of needs in a further episode.
And what are ways that you have talked to your family or communicated with them that has been effective in letting them know what you need? So next, I want to talk a little bit more about social events. So we all know that hanging out with friends here and there, going to lunch is fun, but what about big things? What about, weddings, travel, big events, conferences? Because people are still very active. Russell is an athlete. He goes to all these marathons. I know Phyllis goes to a lot of different conferences all about pulmonary health. Bob's always traveling somewhere, and John Linnell also likes to travel. So there are some bigger events that we have to consider as well, with lots more people and a potential for some fatigue.
Boy, John Linnell travels all over with his oxygen, so I know he has to plan ahead with the suppliers that he needs to get the equipment he needs. We've not interviewed that hypoxic hiker, but she's really a woman that's out there doing a lot of exercise with oxygen, and she's planning ahead for her travels so that she has the ways to carry as much oxygen as she needs and do the activities that she wants to do. Now, I've talked about this man on our podcast before, but I had a patient one time go to a concert with me in an outdoor venue. Now, he wasn't able to get up and dance very much, but he stayed seated, and he was able to get accommodations for the front row and where he could see things and not be around. But he kept his oxygen under the seat, and he just had the time of his life. Now, he wasn't able to get up and dance because of the shortness of breath, but he was able to still sit down and enjoy with all the people around him and his wife. And yeah, he just had the time of his life. I was so thrilled to have that opportunity. Now, there's not many of us that would say we'd like to go to our favorite rock and roll show with a patient colleague, but it was wonderful.
Absolutely. That sounds like a good time. And I know it's important, when you're going to a big event, you've got lots of people around you. People are up and down and dancing. Maybe it is a concert or a wedding. It's important to plan ahead. So having plenty of rest before you go, making sure you've got that downtime, you've got everything you need, you have gotten plenty of nutrition, you've got plenty of hydration, you've taken your medications like you're supposed to, you have charged your batteries for your oxygen concentrator if that's something that you need to do, you've got your pulse ox with you. All of those are important ways to make sure that you're prepped for that event. So whatever it may be, you can have the least fatigue possible, hopefully, after that event.
Much of the time, you won't want to be around all of that activity. So being in the quiet corners of a venue is perfectly fine. Sit back. You can observe all of the activity going on. More than likely, some of your family and friends will notice you're in the corner and come over and talk to you. You might be able to carry out a little bit of a conversation better in a quiet corner, but also there's just not so much stimulation going on, maybe somewhere else rather than up front where it's all going on.
So next we have kind of our travel. So some social events and some things that you may be going to involve traveling somewhere else. So it's important to also have kind of a plan and a preparation beforehand, maybe planning more than you used to, just to make sure that you're really comfortable, especially since you've got some extra things to consider.
there's lots of good ways to travel. If you're on a if you're on a company with oxygen, they can hook up with places that are at your travel destination. So you don't have to worry about carrying oxygen for 2 weeks. You carry enough oxygen with you to get to your destination, and then they'll come in with a concentrator or extra supplies there. So that's really oxygen. If you have machines you're flying with, you'll want to make sure that they're approved for the airline. And most airlines have that information there. If you're traveling by car, also make sure that you have a safe way to travel with your tanks and such.
Absolutely. And make sure that you pack all of your medications, have everything listed out. Make sure that you know where your maintenance inhalers are, where your rescue inhalers are, and where all of your medication is. And make sure that you've packed enough for the whole stay and maybe a little bit extra just in case.
Boy, I know a lot of you are nervous about going some places without oxygen. You might want to dance with the bride without the oxygen on. And so if that's something that's important to you, make sure you practice ahead of time. Last thing you'd want to do is faint during that dance. Or, just wear the oxygen and enjoy the time and really have a nice clear head. That oxygen is for your brain and your heart, not just your breathing. So not everybody's on oxygen, though. We just use that as one example because a lot of you are. What about all these people that might be at the airports if we're going through the airport? Are we at danger when we're traveling?
Well, one thing to look for, maybe not so much inside the airport, but definitely out and about with other people, with crowds, is triggers. So whether that is the outdoor area that you're at, or whether it is people's perfume, or if you're walking past somebody who's smoking, if you're outdoors, how do you prepare for that? I mean, how do you avoid those kind of triggers in a public situation?
Fortunately, now, I'm lucky I live in a smoke-free state so that I don't have those kinds of things around me. If you're really sensitive to things like that in crowds, do your best to stay away from them. Or, wear a mask, something that can keep you away. Maybe you just have a fan. Now, I'm lucky that I live in Illinois, which is a smoke-free state. I go to neighboring states and smoke-free casinos and things. Boy, there's smoke everywhere. And it kind of takes me by surprise. Going to Las Vegas, I'm sure they've got some smoke-free and smoking, different kinds of casinos and that sort of thing. Now, if you're with family members, really ask that they step outside to smoke. It's not too much to ask in 2025. It's not 1960 anymore. We can be respectful of each other like that. Maybe you're outdoors and you can get some fresh air. But if the outdoors bothers you, you'll have to be indoors with the air conditioner. So really kind of just know what environment you're going into and what challenges you might have. And then kind of go through that with a family member. Role play, figure out what the challenges might be, and prepare ahead of time.
Living with a chronic respiratory condition doesn't mean giving up the things you love to do. At BluZone Health, we're here to help you breathe easier and rebuild your strength. Our online cardiopulmonary rehab program offers tailored exercises, self-management training, and expert support from certified respiratory therapists. Accessible anytime, it's designed to reduce breathlessness, improve lung function, and empower you, all while connecting you with a supportive community. Visit BluZone.health and take the first step towards stronger lungs and a healthier future. BluZone Health. Breathe better, live better.
Well, and just not even talking about a trigger, do not let people smoke around you if you are on oxygen. Now, this should not have to be said, but that is very dangerous. And sometimes people don't understand that, or they don't know that. If you don't have a big tank and you've just got a concentrator, people don't think about it as much. So just make sure that people are also aware if you are on oxygen. That is something that we definitely need to talk about as a safety concern, letting other people know, whether you go up and tell people, maybe you need to go outside to smoke, or please don't smoke around my oxygen, or you have a family member talk to whoever that may be, and just kind of avoiding that situation as well.
Now we're planning for a big trip coming up, and I think there'll be a lot of places will be crowds. Now, if it's a big amusement park kind of thing, a lot of times they'll have those power wheelchairs that you can rent there. And that will really help you from being fatigued out in public and might be able to help you rest a little while. Also, when you're out in public, make sure you have the right kinds of food and nutrition for you. So having plenty of water with you and a snack can really go a long way.
Absolutely. And like you said, fans, in those summer months or even just in big crowds, especially if you're indoors, it can get hot. And if heat and maybe even humidity is a trigger for you, we have some of those little neck fans that are sleek and portable, and you wear them around your neck and it blows air kind of up at your face to keep you a little bit cooler and maybe to cool down that air that you're breathing in. So if that may be something that you'd be really considering, especially with the heat or just with large crowds, lots of people around you, that would definitely be a good thing to pack. I know a lot of times they come with a charger and they're one of those rechargeable sets. And so all you've got to do is plug it in, make sure it's charged, and you should be able to use it for almost the whole day. Also, if you are, going to be in a big crowd, you may be around some triggers, just things that you can't necessarily avoid if you're out in public. Make sure that you do have your rescue inhaler on you, just in case something really does trigger you and you're starting to feel that shortness of breath. Make sure you've got your rescue medication just in case you're just near somebody with perfume or somebody who's smoking and you can't get away from it.
Now, I know we're just kind of imagining some of the things that you guys might be doing. Please, again, comment or send us an email or there's Facebook pages, there's comments below all of these podcasts. Let us know what kinds of trips you might be taking and what challenges you might have so we can help you work through some of those and learn about all of the different ways our listeners are going out and engaging with the world.
People are doing so many things, whether it's Bob out golfing or Bill is going to conferences, Russell is out racing, John Linnell's out traveling. We are everywhere. And then we've got other people that we work with, like Hypoxic Hiker, who's out on top of mountains. So whatever it is that you're doing, just let us know what it is. We'd love to talk more about those things. And you guys may give us an idea or may give us something that we can use for a further podcast. So we'd love to hear from you.
One thing all of these past guests have in common is their mindset has shifted. So we've shifted from an illness mindset to a wellness mindset. We've got a disease, but we're going to push through no matter what. We've got Cowboy Bob out there doing his exercises on Facebook and encouraging the other patients out there. So it's so much fun to see that. He's still short of breath, but he's adapting to everything he is dealing with, and he's making the most of it. And boy, he's having a ball, I think, at some of these events, isn't he, Amy?
Absolutely. He has a great time. He's always sending me updates. You can still be out there and do all of the things. And the biggest thing to know, if you're living with a chronic lung disease, is to know that you're not a burden to anybody, because anybody could have developed a chronic lung disease. Sometimes it doesn't matter what lifestyle you lived, what activities you've done, whether or not you've smoked. Sometimes these things just happen and they just develop over time. So you're not a burden, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's just something that you'll have to adapt to, and that the people around you should adapt to as well, and that you can talk with them about. Just know that, and know that your friends are there to help. We still want you around doing all of the activities and living your life to the fullest.
Now, I know there's a lot of intergenerational dynamics. Your grandchildren do not think you're a burden. Now, your kids might sometimes, because you have that little sandpaper kind of thing with your daughters and sons and your moms and dads. But, your grandchildren want you to be involved in their lives, even if you're in a wheelchair, even if you're seated at the edge of the row. Whatever you're there, they want you there with them as much as you can be. And so those kind of goals are really important to people. And so, no, you're not a burden to anyone. And those people around you can really help out with those specific tasks that you give them. So if you need somebody to help you get from point A to point B, ask somebody. I'm sure there's somebody out there that'd be happy to help you out.
Your kids and your grandkids, they want you around. And one thing that we've had to learn is that I chose to have a cat. I love my cat dearly, but my mom and my grandma are very allergic to cats, and they both have asthma. And so one thing that we've learned is we just hang out at my mom's. And she lives less than 10 minutes away from us, so it makes it really nice. But we just kind of adjust those social situations to match what they need. And it's made a great impact. It means that we can still both be happy, do all the things we want to do. She can stay feeling good, and we can still have all of that time together.
Now, you don't want to feel guilty about things that you used to do and you can't do anymore. There comes a time in every family that Christmas no longer is at grandma's house, but it shifts to the next generation. And then it shifts to the next one. And that is a normal progression. So you're not going to be able to host a big family dinner for forever and ever and ever in most situations. But you can slowly, really, they call this succession planning in the business world. Really teach your kids and your grandkids how to make all of those favorite meals. You really do want to work yourself out of business, work yourself out of a job, so that by the time you're 70 or 80, you can sit back and enjoy those family things, and they can still prepare all those meals, and you can know you've done a good job. So coaching somebody is almost just as good as doing all the work yourself.
Well, and having those family traditions and having those family events at your house, if that's something that you still love to do, and maybe you were the one who did all the decorating and all the cooking, like she said, pass some of those traditions along. Maybe you have all the grandkids come over. My grandparents did the night of Thanksgiving after everything settled down and everybody had eaten way too much food and then took their afternoon nap. We helped them put up all the Christmas stuff, and we got them all set up for Christmas. And that's something that we did together, taking down the Thanksgiving stuff, starting to put the Christmas stuff out. And that was a way that we could be really helpful to them, without them losing having all that stuff being done at their house, which they love. And then maybe instead of your grandparents or you cooking all of the food yourself, maybe you slowly transition that to your kids. Say, hey, could you help cook this? Could you bring this? And just kind of extending that out to everybody and spreading out that work a little bit, if you still really want to have those events at your house.
Now, this episode is going to be released really close to Halloween. So we know that there's going to be trick-or-treaters at your door. You're not going to be able to get up and down and up and down and up and down for that kind of thing. But you still want to participate. Go ahead and put your chair next to the front door and just sit there, or sit on the front porch if it's warm enough. But doing something a little bit different is okay, to go ahead and make sure that you're involved in it, but you can still pay attention to the limits of your body.
Absolutely. And you can even dress up in a Halloween costume so that when you greet those trick-or-treaters, you all just have a blast. So there's definitely ways to do everything a little bit differently. And you can invite friends and family over to sit with you out on the front porch, maybe have a bowl of chili in the kitchen to keep you guys warm a little bit, having something warm to eat, and just relaxing and having a good time.
Wow, we sure have a lot of fun ways that we've talked about. Can't wait to hear what everybody's ideas are for other kinds of activities that they've been doing. Really, the whole thing is staying connected. When you stay connected, your brain stays well. It's really important. There's been research that says healthy relationships will get you farther to 100 than flu shots. So you really need to have that mind connection with other people to live a full life, to meet a lot of your health needs. Being lonely is not helpful to anyone. So being connected really can help your mind and your body to go longer and harder.
Absolutely. And living with a pulmonary condition does not have to define you. It doesn't have to define what you do day in and day out. It just means you have more considerations and maybe some mindful conversations with people about how to adapt. So please stay active and please stay social and keep doing the things that you absolutely love to do, because that's what life's all about.
So part of that is, the social media out there. Not everybody can get out. You don't want to spread germs at sometimes, particularly in the wintertime. So there's a lot of groups. All of us here at the Cozy Lung Lounge found each other on the Right to Breathe podcast. And that's a wonderful place for patients to go and get really intimate conversations with the healthcare professionals. There's usually only 30 to 40, 50 people. at any time in that Zoom room. So it's a really easy way to get some social connection with people. Same with other foundations, the COPD Foundation, Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. Boy, we work with a lot of them. Many of them have social groups. So get out there and meet with somebody. You can see that our past guests, that's one of the things that they like to do is get out there and engage in a lot of these groups. And that's where we met them, is in the groups. And so everybody gets together. And even though we don't see each other, we still feel like we're friends and can talk to each other and be connected.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully this gave you some good ideas of things to do to keep your social life full and active. And thank you guys so much for listening. And please comment all of your ideas and things that you love to do. And then we will see you guys in the next episode.
Boy, thanks so much, guys. I'm just having a fun time here in the Cozy Lung Lounge. I'll see y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, I'm Kelly, a registered respiratory therapist with BluZone Health. Do you feel breathless much of the time? Are you unsure of how to manage your breathlessness? Is it keeping you from doing all the things that you would like to do? I'm here to help you learn to work with your healthcare team to come up with a plan that will work for you. There are lots of tools, tips, and tricks and breathing exercises that you can do now that will help you breathe easier and more effectively. I look forward to joining you on this journey and empowering you to breathe better.